Hello and welcome to today's show where we're talking the Kairos Stones. Kairos Stones, what am I saying? We're talking with the Broken World Chronicles. Good grief. You can see where my mind is. It is all over the place. Absolutely everywhere. And the reason for that is that today I got some very, very, very exciting news, which I can't yet share with you. But let me just say that if you are in Europe, this is for you. So, yes. All I can say is the 25th of May is a Saturday, and that evening, I don't think you want to make any plans. 25th of May. What's happening then? Well, you'll just have to watch the channel and find out. But as of this morning, all the lines were dotted, the T's crossed, the I's sort of done with little heart-shaped drawings or skulls, depending on your personal preference. And Well, we're ready to go. So very, very exciting project happening there. This is also hopefully the last time you're going to see this background behind me. Although I certainly have had a great amount of use out of it, it has always been digital and it's always irritated me. So I've been working on something behind the scenes now for quite some time. You've seen hints and well, clues as to what I've been doing from time to time. And yes, so this is now finally ready today after today's show. As a matter of fact, I'll be taking all of the photographs and putting it in place and so on and so forth. So it should be good. I see here May 25th seems to be free for some people. That's exciting. I'm going to throw out the time of 8 p.m. I'm just throwing that out there. So you can keep that in there as well. So yes, now today we're talking A Broken World Chronicles, and I have to confess, stupidly, I made the map for today based on what I think is going to happen, and overwrote a previous map that I had made. So I'm rather unhappy about that on Dungeon Fog. I think I can go and get it back. Anyway, I see there's a question there. 8 p.m. in what time zone? In what time zone, she asked. Shall I tell her? Yeah, all right, you bought me gin and tonic the other day. So, Laura, yeah, the time period is 8 p.m. GMT, 7 or 8, depending on whether you're in daylight savings or winter savings or after savings or 2.5% savings off of every purchase. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what time zone you're in. But yes, it's scheduled to be somewhere around 8 p.m. GMT. So that is specifically there for you. That means it's about 4 p.m. From what I understand, it's about 4 p.m. CST if you are in the US. It's something to think about there now. Yes, right, on to Broken World Chronicles. Now, Broken World Chronicles, we've only got a couple episodes left. We said we were only going to do 12 episodes. We are nearing the end of it. We're on episode number 9, as a matter of fact. Certain things have taken a little bit longer than anticipated, but that's okay. We're having fun, and I think that's the important thing. So what I'm going to be doing today, hopefully, is exploring one of the other characters' backstories. Now, I have been told that Freddie won't be with us next week. He's got family commitments and the like, which is always good to have, I believe, because it means one has family and that one cares about one's family, hopefully. Anyway, so I'm going to make sure that it is something that will feature something that doesn't feature Warren necessarily. So if we cast our minds back as to the whole idea behind this entire thing, is we've got these 3 very interesting characters that have been running along, and we've kind of explored, to a small degree anyway, Feloria's background and a bit of her personality and her character. So I want to carry on with that. Now, we do have this amazing world that has been sent through by one of our patrons. So I do want to explore that, but Dice of Destiny will tell us where we're going. So I've got one map for the one and I've got one map for the other to sort of explore these options. Now, which way it goes, I don't know. What is going to be discovered in this next upcoming episode? I think it's time, because we're running out of time. The characters haven't really got stuck into the clack door issue too much, and I don't think that that's necessarily a problem. If we continue the series, if there's enough support for it, if there's enough interest in it, then yes, we can certainly explore the bigger clack door issue. I don't have a problem with that at all. So what I really want to do in these next couple episodes is just to really kind of lock down once and for all the characters, so that we can see these characters. I love playing with all 3 of the players. I really do. So I will happily come back to this series whenever they're ready to do that, time permitting, of course. But again, the idea is that we're going to explore some of the backgrounds. Now, with Freddie not being here next week, I thought, well, safest then to try and explore some of Flint's background. So we'll see what happens depending on which world we get sent to. So our options are either to be sent Well, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that secret. I think I'm not going to share that with you necessarily. So I see a comment here which came through a little bit earlier on. I did not get it. And there went your idea that I was pregnant. You know, that joke went down so badly with the Japanese doctors. It's not even funny. I do have a very large belly, which you can't see because I purposefully wear black. But I do have a very large belly. And when I went to the Japanese doctors, one of the things I often try and break the ice, you see, with new GPs and things. And I sort of went waddling in and I sat down and he said, well, you know, what's wrong? Well, I think he said that anyway. And I said, well, it's been 12 months now and they still haven't come out. Well, that certainly didn't go down well. Then there was all kinds of translation errors and things. Lesson learned, you know, not all humour translates. Anyway, we will, live and we learn. Okay, so we're going to explore, I think, either a little bit of the Clack Clack Door, if the characters get sent to the one world, which is going to be interesting, and that will lead us, hopefully, to being able to explore one of the backstories of the characters. Otherwise, depending on where we're going, we might end up going to Flint's world. I see their Team Flint being called for by both William and Adrian. So yes, it could be an interesting space. I did also toy with the idea, I must admit, that I can't do it mechanically. I thought, wouldn't it be fun if, as the characters are jumping to a new world, they land and on deck suddenly this very rugged looking individual who looks slightly like a druid met an admiral. This individual looks up and says, yes, what are you doing on my ship? Commodore Con walks over to them. I think that could be quite fun. But yes, so we'll see. I see. Yes, Laura, I would like to learn more about the Clack Clack Door as well. I think they're an interesting nemesis to have in there, and definitely there is. But I think also they're a little bit too big. That's a lesson that I've certainly learned from doing shows, doing this show particularly, is when you are linked to only 12 shows, 12 episodes, I think it's important not to go too big. And I think I went too big with the Clack Clack Door. It was just such a massive invasion. So big that there is almost too much behind it. So in order to explore it fully and to kind of give it the majesty that it needs to have. So I think that's something that's very important to bear in mind when one is designing campaigns and things, is to think about the duration of the campaign so that you can give justice to your narrative correctly, and to explore the ideas that come with it. So yes, I think it is definitely a learning curve for me. Now, coming up, I've got another 12 episodes of another show, May 25th, not saying anything. Another show which is 12 episodes at the moment. And so for that one, that's going to be very interesting as well, to try and keep that in mind, that one can't go too big too soon. You kind of have to keep things smaller and a bit more local. And when you look at your bigger narratives that are truly epic in nature, The Matrix, I think, is quite a good example of that, where you had this film with Keanu Reeves way back when, I think it was in the 90s that it came out. And the first film was just poor old Keanu versus Hugo Weaving as the agent Smith, and just this wonderful, very personal kind of story that had bigger ramifications, but it was very, very, very personal. By the time we got to the end of the third film, a lot of us were very happy that we got to the end of the third film, because I didn't like film 2 and 3, but once we got to the end of the third film, we realized it was so much bigger, but we needed all of that extra film time to kind of expand it and get there. And so yeah, it's a lesson well learned, I think I can say quite happily. So yeah, Laura, I am definitely feeling much better, thank you. The course of chemical drugs I've been on, I've never had so many different types of drugs before in my life, I must admit. So that's been quite an experience. We're definitely near the end of it. It's nearly there. It's nearly dead. So hopefully it will be completely dead by the time we are finished. Anyway, what else do I need to talk about? Oh yes, so I wanted to show you guys, because I don't think I have shown you, and some of you might be interested, and I might be able to learn something from you as well, is I wanted to, let me just see which one is which one it is, which one 'tis it. There we go, that one. No, I'm not going to show you that just yet. Let's close that. I wanted to share up with you the Fantasy Grounds process that I go through in terms of creating everything. Now, not everyone's going to use Fantasy Grounds, and I will be the first to raise my hand and say I was against online role-playing from the very beginning. You can go watch my videos where I rage hate and talk about how evil and destructive it is and how it's going to end the universe and all those kinds of horrible things. And you know, it's basically akin to sitting underneath a windmill or a wind turbine when one is using VTT. But I've changed my mind subsequently. I have been educated and have fallen in love with certain tabletops. Now, this is not sponsored by Fantasy Grounds. I do have to do that disclaimer. It's just that we happen to use Fantasy Grounds. I've used Roll20 as well. Fantasy Grounds just kind of appeal to me a little bit more because it's not as complicated. It's also not as malleable from what I understand. I don't know. I don't malleate things too much. So anyway, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to create some NPCs very quickly because I kind of got sidetracked with that email that I got this morning. There's lots to read and lots to go through. So what we're going to do is when you go into NPCs, you have all the different types of NPCs, and then you have the new NPCs, which are the ones that you have created yourself. So there's the clack warriors that I've made, some of those. There's some of the other characters as well that we've sort of been involved in. I can actually stop sharing these maps now. That is something, by the way, that I had to learn quite early on with this particular thing. So I can get rid of that. I can clear out that because we don't need those. Berg, we need Carpo, we need... okay, so what I'm going to do is I need to stat two things for today's show. I need to stat out either a spirit animal, and what level are the characters? I can't remember. So this is what's quite nice. You can sort of just double click on it. Level 5. Are they level 5? That's fantastic. Okay, so they're level 5. I sort of like the ability to peek in and see what's going on. So I'm going to switch over here to go to level 5, or level 4 actually. We can throw a couple level 4s at them and they won't really bat an eyelid. Now, we need some kind of spirit being. Well, a ghost is the first thing that pops to mind because it automatically is a level 5 creature. Now, or a level 4 creature can see 60 feet in the ethereal plane, blah blah blah, can move through objects. It takes, if it ends its turn inside an object, that's weird. Okay, +5 to attack, hits 17 damage. So what I like to look at is challenge ratings mean sweet bugger all. They absolutely do. And I haven't yet found someone who goes, oh no, my challenge ratings work absolutely perfectly. And they actually work absolutely perfectly. I'm not that smart. So what I look at is I go, okay, so if they are on average getting a +5 to hit, and the armor class of these guys, Warren's armor class is 18, so they're not going to hit him very often. They're never going to hit Flint and Floria, also 18, never going to hit. So they're not going to hit very often. When they do hit, they're doing 17 points of damage. Here are their average health sort of spaces. Flint's at 66. So they would have to hit him 6 or 7 times before he went down. Now, they only get 1 attack a round, so 7 rounds of combat? Oh my god, I will have killed myself of boredom before that happens. No, so definitely not going to let that happen. And that reminds me, I need to reset all of this. So definitely not going to happen. Now, so they're not particularly exciting. Each non 60 feet must make a DC 13, seriously. Or be frightened for 1 minute. That gives you the frightened condition, which is just there. Blah blah blah. Position. No. I think they're rather dull. Dull. Shadow Demon, that sounds interesting. Let's see, 13 armor class, they're going to hit every time, 66 hit points, so that's what, 1, 2, 3 rounds to die. Stealth, resistance to like everything. I don't know why they shouldn't put everything. Damage immunities, yeah, blah blah blah. Condition immunities, okay, well that's quite fun. Vulnerable to radiant, dark vision. Nice, 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 nice. Demon can move through other creatures, objects that are difficult terrain. Okay, I do like that because it kind of sits with the spirit thing. When in bright light, the demon has a disadvantage attack rolls. Okay, alright, fine. While in dim light or darkness, the demon can take the hide action as a bonus action. Melee +2 to attack, 10 points of damage. If the demon has advantage on the attack roll, 17. Or if the demon had advantage on the attack roll, 17. Oh, I see. So it's psychic damage goes up. Oh, okay. I think this could work. I think this could work. So I'm going to take them, and you just drop them back down on top of each other. And what that does is it creates a copy. So then I can come in here, and I can rename this to Spirit Ward. Okay. And I can change the token, I believe, by going to tokens. You can see all my tokens there. And I'm just going to... How are we doing for time? 8 minutes. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to go for a sort of ghost-looking thing. Why is it so big? It's an elemental. It just needs to represent this idea of a sort of spirit beastie thing. I quite like it. So many tokens. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, so we're going to drop that one in there, and then we lock that, and then our spirit ward is set to that. Okay, great stuff. So we've got our spirit ward. Now, on the other hand, let me just pop back to chat and see that no one's shouting at me. Next time you travel, pump up on vitamin C. I have to do that before Gen Con. Dear Lord, I will be pumping up on everything, and hopefully trying to even get a vitamin boost or I don't know what it is. Do you have versatile NPCs too? They have some good ones in there. Now I don't have that. Use a modified ALIP, good suggestion. Ghost token, yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the token that I got in the end, but yes, all good suggestions. Okay, let me go back here quickly. Oh, you would have seen the chat. Sorry. Let me go back here. Now I want to make a gnome. So, let's see. Do we have a gnome in here? They've got a deep gnome. That could work. That could work. Oh, challenge rating half. Really? Seriously? Seriously? That's what I have? +4 to hit. Doing nothing. Doing 0. Doing less than... Oh, no. I want something that is potentially a ranged attack. So going back to this challenge rating of 4 here. I want something that's a bit of a range attack creature. But you know what? You know what? This might very well work here, Mr. Smithers. Spell DC 15, which is fine. It makes a little bit of a challenge. Don't care about those. Don't care about those. Those are going to change. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why now. I have a little bit of inside knowledge. These gnomes that exist in Flint's backstory are rather nasty little things. Gnome Inquisitor. What is that token back on again? Can I type in gnome? What do you know? It works. Okay, so there's my gnome Inquisitor. I'm going to use that for now. Great stuff. So I can add them in, and whilst we're here, let's see if they're... Oh, I do like these because they're terrifying. Well, they used to be terrifying anyway. Blah blah blah. Can use this action to follow will come all back to its form. Yes. Yes, I like that. So I like to create new ones rather than sort of come back here. Open this up, and we're going to call this, because this is my idea for the adventure, is one way or another it's going to be a rescue adventure. So this one we're going to call Dolly. Hello, Dolly. Alright, and for Dolly, actually, I want to use someone sweet and innocent. Da, 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 da. I have no idea where I would even find them. Oh, here we go. This will work. This will work quite nicely. If I can find... that one. We'll take that one. A barmaid of some kind. Dolly. There we go. Great. Great stuff. All right, now we're all set. 3 minutes to go before the show. Sorry about taking you through all that process, but... I needed to do that. I had run out of time, like I said before. So maybe it was insightful, maybe it was abysmal, maybe it was just. Anyway, we shall see. If everyone calls them gaslighters an insult, they could call themselves brightlings. That's quite funny. I like that. The last card last night. Yeah, well, Michael just said roll a number, so I rolled a number, and that was what came up. So I'm glad that you had fun with that. All right, I've got to get my cast and crew ready. So I'm going to play some music for the next 2 minutes or so, as we will be back shortly for the Broken World Chronicles. So until then, grab some coffee, get something to drink, and we'll see you shortly. welcome to this week's episode of the Broken World Chronicles. We are all present and accounted for and looking sparkly. Michael, thank you for joining us. And Kai, thank you for being part of the show. And Freddie, looking all very knightly in your hoodie there, thank you for being part of the show. There we go. All right, so if you cast your minds back, think back to last week. I certainly couldn't manage to do that. I needed the help. So yes, our intrepid crew find themselves in the hub, this strange nexus type of space where all kinds of shifters seem to come and go, and what to be discovered there is uncertain, but they have been summoned to an audience with the originals. So that is something to bear in mind. Now, I'm just getting a message here saying no PC voice. Just talk for me for a moment, Michael, or Kai, or Freddie. Oh, that's interesting. Try again. That's interesting.
I'm colored many things, brown at the moment, but impressed is also among the colors I am right now for you. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
There we go. Now you should be able to hear everybody as I see the audio glitch for some unknown reason. Give it a moment.
I was going to say, we did leave off last time about to meet this this particular one of the originals because we were very good at keeping our head down, staying out of trouble, and not drawing attention to ourselves. That was exactly what we did. Yep.
You liar.
I don't remember that at all. I think I yelled at people. I yelled at a lot of people.
Yeah, we got Warren drunk and he ended up irritating one of the people in charge.
Yeah. Who was the young scamp that you picked up? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I remember Jazzy. They picked up the young scamp, and I threatened him.
And yeah, I don't think I don't remember.
We got his name. Did we?
Unless it was Scott. I remember Scott for some reason.
I don't think there was a Scott.
I think we got his name.
It was
I named him Scott.
I remember Hank.
My name's Fred.
Okay, Scott.
I'm not sure if it was Scott or not. Just checking, guys.
That should be his full name, Scott or not.
Still no
Scott
audio.
or not. Oh, they can't hear us still?
No,
Oh, they still can't hear us?
not.
Oh. Let's do a dance.
I can hear all the voices. Says
Oh,
Game
yeah.
Master's Vault. Eric says he can only hear Michael.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's practically impossible. So either Game Master's Vault is hearing voices in his head, or...
Oh no, he got it.
We're okay. I think we're okay.
We're good. They're just
I mean,
a
if you
delay.
can hear me at least. I mean, I can hear everyone else, so that's...
They have like a 30-second to a minute delay on Twitch, so they
Right.
hear us.
Okay, they hear everyone. Okay, good. Right, let's see. Well, we were busy debating what was the name of the young character that they got thrust upon them, who was about to get beaten to a pulp for stealing.
I still think we didn't get his name because...
I don't think we got his name.
Yeah, I think
I only know Jazzy back in the bar.
I demanded to be Scott right now.
Ah, dear. All right. Okay.
Also, I do apologize. I'm not trying to make a habit of having all my characters adopt young boy wards. That's not
a thing.
That's not a thing. It just seems to always happen. So.
It does. Yes. Poor old
Okay,
Mios.
the last name we went stole a Bollywog child.
Okay. So, yes, you are summoned by the centaur to get to the originals, and they take you through this mega hub of a space, different architectural styles from all over the place. Like I said, every now and again you can see these strange things, sometimes floating past on great big air sacs. Sometimes there's a big giant that lumbers past looking rather confused. Yeah, occasionally there's squeaking from very small, very little creatures that sort of run past looking as if they're about to purchase something or sell something. You're not entirely sure. But the centaur certainly kind of keeps heading in the general direction, which is towards this very large, almost pantheon-like, squared, very columned temple. And he doesn't say anything to any of you as you make your way through this hodgepodge of life. So, yes, eventually you get to the staircase. I'm just going to close chat here because it's distracting me. Eventually you get to the staircase where you are temporarily paused by the centaur as he turns and says, "You will wait here." And then his hooves clop up the marble stairs and into the structure.
Is Scott with us?
The young lad that you rescued from a near-death experience has indeed been following along because he has no other choice, really, but to
Didn't we send him with Captain
Jazzy?
Yeah, Jazzy.
Oh, you did. That's right. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
My apologies. You sent him with Jazzy to go and find rooms.
Where did Scott go?
Is Warren still drunk?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
so.
All right.
Scott. Anyway.
Hey.
A few moments later, the centaur reappears and says, "They will see you now. Come with me." And he leads you inside this very square, very large space. It is fairly plain, aside from the floor, which is covered in this amazing mosaic map of the world of Braxia. Quite beautiful, quite breathtaking to behold. The rest of it is just plain marble columns reaching up to the lintel ceiling. And there are 6 very concerned-looking individuals, all dressed very sternly in black, as you approach. The one that was before, who was passing judgment, you can see is standing there as well. This fairly affable-looking man, definitely very high charisma. He kind of gives you the once-over Valoria, but in such an appreciative way that it's almost as if he's looking at a piece of art that has encapsulated everything that it could possibly mean to be a strong, bold, independent, and quite beautiful female elf.
He's staring at you.
Yeah, he sort of steps forward
Maybe
and
his eyelids are malfunctioning.
bows quite low before you. Well, we are very honored to have such illustrious individuals joining us. He looks at you, Valoria.
Thank
Sorry.
you for seeing us, my lord, on such short notice.
Yes, well, it's not every day that we get such enterprising individuals as yourselves arriving here at the hub. You must be... Is it Warwick the Bold? He says, looking
No.
at you, Warren.
It's Warren. Warren Travis.
Ah, yes, that's what they used to call you now, I remember, yes. Right, good. Well, needless to say that I apologize.
And what would you be apologizing for?
Yeah.
He hits you quite squarely on the jaw with a clenched fist, Warren. He hits an armor class of 22 as he smacks you
Oh, damn.
for 8 points damage. Like I said, I apologize, but in about 20 years' time, that will become... You'll understand. Now that that's over and done with...
Okay, well then, I'm sorry.
I'm doing it too.
Make your
Going
attack.
right for the gut.
Oh, God.
So this is an unarmed attack, so how do I... hang on, I'm trying to do this right. So I guess just my strength
Yeah.
+3. Yeah, there we go.
Strength and
Here.
your proficiency modifier.
Am I proficient with our unarmed attacks?
No, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I just want to
thinking
check. There we go.
No, you sort of swing at him. Like I
Hey!
said, give or take 20 years, and you'll understand, Warren. Don't take it personally.
Who are you?
We are the original shifters. Just after the great sorcerers split the world, we are the ones who first stepped through and started to chart all the territories. We have been here for quite some time.
Wait, the great who's it did the what now?
Who were the original 6?
Well, we are, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, like I said, we've been here for quite some
I'd like to take a short step back to where you just said the whole world was split apart. What are you talking about?
Yes, well, let's just say that there was an incident that caused the shattering of the dimensions in the very first place. It was brought about by a certain young sorceress who thought she could save her world from the Clack Door invasion.
Maybe she doesn't like getting punched.
Yes, I see that you haven't changed much, Warren, no matter which decade we happen to bump into each other. So,
Would
yes.
that make sense then if you beat him when he's the youngest version of himself, that he would have been the most youthful and impulsive?
That's the only time that I will actually be able to hit him, so I have to take advantage of it. Now,
I can relate with that.
yes.
But we don't know your names, and maybe we should have maybe we should explain everything that's going on. Like, we don't. You say you're the original 6, but who are the original 6? And then what happened, and who's the sorceress?
A very tall elf steps forward, and the look that the elf gives you, Feloria, is the exact opposite to the one that the roguish kind of character gave to you. This one is disdainful and quite dismissive, as a matter of fact. The elf looks specifically at you, Flint. It is only logical that you should be the one that gets the information, Flint, considering your programming allows you to understand concepts beyond the comprehension of such emotional creatures. The elf says, looking at you, Valoria, and you, Warren. Whilst we appreciate the contribution that the two of you will make potentially in the future and have already done so in the past, it is complicated by your emotional reactions, as we saw on H264. Now, there are many things at play here, and knowledge of what has happened may or may not be of beneficial use to you. It is not our time now to discuss those. There are things happening that we require you to do. Suffice it to say that we are trying to restore what was broken. This is a delicate matter of undoing certain events in certain dimensions which led to a certain action being taken place on H1. Does this make sense, Flint?
You're saying the gears that turn the world seem to be out of place, and certain things need to be put set right before everything can start working again.
Your colloquial metaphor is appropriate, yes. Come with me. This will make more sense. The 6 of them turn and walk through an even smaller doorway into a dark chamber.
I'll sort of follow and sort of reach over to Warren and sort of pat his shoulder, like, you know, don't worry about it. I'm sure there's an explanation for this and everything else that's been going on.
Okay.
From in front of you, the charismatic one shouts, "Yes, he's an ass."
Oh, should I? Nope.
As he steps into the chamber.
He said a bad word.
Inside this new chamber, it's completely dark, and suddenly it illuminates as the elf waves his hand. And there is just this chaotic display of... It looks like you're looking at a mirror that's been cracked and broken. So you're seeing the same image, but just in thousands of different facets. Except that it's as a spherical mirror. So the sphere has been shattered, and this illuminates in the middle of all of you. And every now and again, a piece sort of opens out and shatters and fractures again and then closes in. But a lot of them, the mirror is dark, is completely black.
Whoa. I'm assuming the black pieces are places that might be taken over by the clack-clack door?
And that is remarkable logic, considering it is coming from you. You are correct, says the elf. Young.
That's not too hard. See, it's dark for the darkness, so it's bad.
There's just a sigh from where the elf is standing.
And from where we're standing.
Forgive him, we didn't know his tolerance level was so low.
Yep, you're going to find there's all sorts of things that are very low when it comes to Warren, says another voice from across the sphere.
How do you recognize any of these people? Like,
they all just seem to be ragging on Warren in here. It's like,
hell,
like
that one doesn't like me.
There's a tiny little wooden sign saying "No Warrens."
This old female steps forward. Now, enough of all of this banter. It's not fair on the newcomers. You proved at H264 that you are willing to take quite drastic actions in order to try and change the course of a world's direction. This is strictly looked down upon by us for a very important reason. We are trying to realign these pieces, she says, and she points to a particular section which is broken and cracked, and she hovers her hand over it, and as she does so, the sphere disappears and those two pieces expand. And in one, you can see a group of people that look very similar to yourselves, but maybe 30 or 40 years older. And yeah, there's no difference in Flint, but Floria, you definitely seem a little bit older, and Warren looks more like the Warren that you first encountered in that keep long ago. And the three of you are busy destroying this artifact. And on the other side, there is another group of individuals that look kind of similar to the roguish character that you've met here in the elf, and they're busy destroying something else. They're busy, it looks like they're busy slaying some kind of giant clack door arachnid type of creature. But as you guys destroy the artifact, the two fractures suddenly merge together and become a single picture. And where there was once clack door, the characters are now busy fighting off, it looks like an ogre. And the ogre drops almost instantaneously. And as that happens, all six of you just disappear. We are trying to realign the dimensions, and this requires us to do certain things. Now, there are not a lot of shifters who can do what you did. Travel through time as well as dimensions. She looks out over the hub. Most of those shifters there will simply be able to jump from one dimension to the next, moving around as one might move from one room to another, oblivious of any kind of impact that they will have on the worlds that they visit, and with self-interest as their principal motivator. Whether it's research or actual acquisition of ancient artifacts or objects, it doesn't really matter. They don't play too much of a part on restoring what has been broken. The three of you, however, went back in time. H1112. You went back in time twice, as a matter of fact.
Oh. Yes. I was curious as to see what the stones would do if you arranged them in the same way.
They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to just allow you to jump from one dimension to the next. However, there are certain individuals, and we don't yet know why, that seem to be able to jump in time as well. We don't know what triggers it. We don't know how to control it necessarily yet. But there seem to be certain correlations between the individuals and certain time frames. we are looking into it. It is us who have the ability to therefore change the dimensional alignments, but to do so in a way that is safe and that does result in realignment of the dimensions, not in more fracturing. That's why we called you here. So far, we only know of 5 groups of individuals who can travel around in time as well as through the dimensions. That gives you a unique ability and opportunity to make significant changes to the fractured worlds, or as some call it, she says looking over, the broken worlds. The choice is yours, however. In some futures you have agreed to help us. In others you have become our greatest enemy and have started to work for the Clack Clack Door. We obviously will try and prevent that from happening.
No way. That's no way that's gonna happen. I have to destroy those Clack Clack doors.
I'm assuming
There was a prophecy that they could have
Here we go again. Here comes his prophecy, says a voice from the other side.
question. You said in time, but do you mean like different versions of ourselves, like different dimensional versions of ourselves, or have you met this troop of 3 from the same home planets before in time?
Every dimension has its iterations of individuals. Most of the time, the individuals that exist in this dimension will exist in almost all dimensions. However, there are some where coincidences did not lead to the birth of the individual, or the individual died before the dimensional shifts have happened. There are some that we have met in the future, and there are some that we have met in the past. And she looks over at the charismatic one who keeps throwing aspersions at Warren. Some of us don't know how to separate between the different individuals. It is true, you are yourselves, but if you were to meet another Warren or Flint or Feloria in a different dimension, they could very well be very different from you. And if you were to travel in time, they would be younger or older. It just depends on where and when you meet them. And you should also be very cautious. Meeting yourself can cause issues with the dimensions. So try and avoid that where possible.
I'm assuming that's why you make it such a big rule that everyone must follow here.
Ah, yes. We make sure that everyone who comes here is either incapable of having any kind of influence on the timeline, as most of those out there are, or if they do seem to have destructive tendencies or tendencies where they are likely to go and just disrupt entire dimensions altogether, they never leave here. Think of it as you might as a bit of a prison for those who would work against us.
Oh, this is too complicated. I'll do whatever it is because I want to destroy the Clack Clack Door. I think that's probably the only way I can find my family too.
Flint interjects at this point and walks over to the shard that was reformed from the mirror.
Right.
He takes another look at it. When the individuals, after they completed the ritual, you said they disappeared. What manner did they disappear in? Did they just simply sort of fade away, or did they use the rough stones until?
No, they simply faded away.
I ain't got nothing wrong with the sentiments behind here, but don't suppose you'd mind explaining what happened to the individuals that were standing in those 2 separate pieces? Seems to me that putting the world together is coming at a cost that you folks sitting up here in the high tower ain't paying.
I don't think so, because he was on the other side, and I point to the roguish elf. He was on the opposite side when we were destroying an artifact, right?
They all disappeared, didn't they?
Yep.
But he was on the opposite side of that picture, though, wasn't he? So he would have been paying for it?
Of him.
Oh, that's true.
When the dimensions are repaired, the various iterations of the individuals that exist cease to exist, as a dimensional collapse causes effectively a new dimension to appear, one that is at least more in alignment with what should be rather than what currently is. As a result, if you are from a dimension that has collapsed, you would cease to exist simply because your dimension no longer exists. Those particular teams were both from those dimensions and have been working for quite some time to realign them and bring them back into sync with what we believe to be the correct path of our destiny.
Is that why you have to do everything in a sequence? Because if you do it out of sequence, you cease to exist if it's from a broken one. But if they become a whole, you would continue to exist. And then you can go on to the next fracture point and create that as a whole?
Provided that it's not your home dimension, yes. And that's where we come in. We make sure that you don't resolve your own dimension unless it is something that you wish to do. Be aware that for some of us, we have been here for centuries.
Flint sort of takes a moment and sort of takes off his hat. He sort of rubs the chrome plate underneath. He says, I don't know about the two of you, but I'm gonna help out. I think what's happened with the universes, with the dimensions being so out of order, it ain't right. There are people out there who may have had entire lives that were completely thrown into array. And it ain't right that another man gets to reap the benefits of the suffering of others. So I'll do it. I'll work with you folk here at the hub, and I'll try my best to merge some of these dimensions, see if we can't put something that's out of place right.
All eyes turn to Feloria.
I see as the clack tours coming down from all different dimensions and everywhere, that nowhere would be safe eventually, would it? Not even here, because they were diving into portals, so I'm assuming they're trying to find this place, aren't they?
They have indeed been attempting to find this place for quite some time, but so far they have not succeeded, and we have measures in place to prevent them from getting in, if they do.
I'm more than willing to help out.
And I'm more than willing, says the roguish character, moving over to stand next to you, Kai, to make sure that, well, in one universe, at the very least, perhaps there might be room in your heart for someone other than Varian. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of pats the bag at your side. Because sometimes it's best to leave things in the past.
I take the bottom part of my hammer and just go.
You swipe at him.
Stop it!
Have any version of Feloria ever managed to save Virion?
Before they answer, I'm going to place a hand on Feloria's shoulder. I'm going to look
Okay, put my hand.
this sort of deadpan look and say, that ain't a question you want answered. If you want to save Virion, you do it with your own hands. You don't rely on some other woman from a different dimension to do it for you. The only one that's important, and I sort of looking down towards the pouch on her side, is the one that's important to you.
Hmm.
So the roguish one looks at you, Warren. You see, testy. Don't worry, I'm not going to step on your territory. If you've got her as your girl, that's fine. I'll understand.
No, you did.
Wait, what?
You need to shush.
Can't blame a guy for trying. 3,000 dimensions and counting, and not yet once. Not yet once.
I don't even know your name, dude.
Oh. You will. Don't worry. And you one day.
Why don't you just say it now?
Because it ain't the right time.
Is it Salvador?
Salvador? No, this is not.
I think it's Virion's best friend, because
Man.
he was a bit of a jerk.
Well, I don't need to know. So then fine. He can keep it to himself. No one here's going to care.
I'll say, well, thank you for filling us in as much as you have, but I've got a really hot oil bath waiting for me. If you need us, we're going to be finding accommodation for the time being in the hub. We'll we'll respond to the job that you may have where we need to go. Just send it there, and we'll be on our way.
I need to say one thing though.
Of course you do.
I know.
Just one? Are you
Because-
sure? Because it's not likely to be just one. I'm just saying.
This is no offense to any of you, because I know you have your own goals. I am here only to smite down the clack clack door, because I know they're going to be ripping other families apart. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I'm only here to get my family and to stop them from hurting others. That's all.
Oh, here, says the eldest one who steps forward. You can be relied on in any dimension, Warren. That's one of the reasons why we like you. Yes, now, retire back to the hub, sort out what you need, make what little preparations you might have. We are exceptionally thankful that you have decided to join us once again. These conversations have, in the past, not gone as well as they did today. So we are always grateful for support from the three of you. Now, as to some of your questions, Flint is quite right. It is not ours to look into the future to determine our own fate and our own destiny. That we leave to fate. Yes, we jump into the future from time to time to change the course of events, but not our own. It is perhaps an ethical decision. Maybe it's the right one, maybe it's not the right one. We're not sure. But it is one that we have found has worked so far, and we will remain with it. Now, as to this petty bickering, Kent, come here. And that roguish individual steps over. Firstly, you are officially now banned from hitting on all Floras now and in the past and in the future. I've had enough of it. She will never accept you. Move on, lad. It's not worth your time. And as for whatever is going on between you and Warren, well, quite frankly, Warren, I expect more of you. You don't rise to the bait of this fop. And as for you, Kent, well...
Start it!
Oh, dear God. I will find a dimension one day and put the two of you in it, and you might resolve your differences. Now, off you go. We'll be in contact shortly. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. Saras, if you wouldn't mind. The elf steps forward. These will allow you to effectively make use of most of the facilities here in the hub without too much financial recompense. Prices here have elevated naturally owing to the unusual nature of this environment. You shouldn't have too much of a problem procuring basic items. If you need something specific, ask us and we will provide it for you. He hands you three, each a rather curious looking badge. I would advise that you obscure this item about yourself. You show it only to those that are absolutely requiring to see it. It is not something that you should brandish about. Please note that the Clack Clack door are particularly drawn to individuals who have these. As a result, it might behoove you to keep these as secret as possible. The badges look to be a star, or it looks like a star, but it's not an even star. It almost looks like a fractured star. And it appears to be made out of about 12 different minerals, metals mostly, but the one looks like it's made out of liquid because it seems like it's wet and actually constantly trailing out from the center of the badge. And so when you rotate the badge around, it kind of moves as if it's in its own dimension. There's another piece that looks like it's mother of pearl. There's another piece that's obsidian, without a doubt. Yes, just this very strange mixture of compounds and things. This notes you as one of the chosen shifters. It, like you said, give you access to places you might not necessarily have access. It has no meaning to those within dimensions. They do not know that we exist. Don't try and use it there.
Ah. Okay. Thanks.
I have a question in a way. The clack clack door seems to, as Berg was mentioning, they seem to always be trading information with each other. I've been noticing as we jump back and forth into time, that information would be reverted. Like they don't, people when we go into the world don't understand. But here, everything continues moving forward. Would it make sense if we're in a pocket dimension that possibly they also have their own that way, so they can relay their information back to that base?
There is a lot of looks passed between each of the members as they seem to have a moment. The old one then steps forward. You have put together more than we had thought. You are possibly one of the brighter Felorias that we've met. No offense to your doppelgangers. No.
That's okay. The last one I met was evil. Or the last one I heard about was evil.
The clack clack door also seemed to have some temporal dislocation, it's true. We have a hub here. It is created with magic. It is not beyond the realm of possibility that they have the same. It answers certain questions. The elf then steps forward and says, it might, at the other side of the spectrum, however, it is pure conjecture and there is no evidence to support the fact that they are operating in that manner. The collective nature of the clack clack door may simply appear to share information across dimensions but not actually do so. There is no evidence at this time to support the theory.
So how would we go about gathering that evidence for you?
We have certain operations currently trying to investigate. The biggest problem is infiltrating the clack clack door themselves. They are such an unusual species that even trying to emulate them using magic has proven ineffective in the past. They have multiple forms of communication beyond just the vocal. There are pheromones as well as body movements which, well, so far we haven't been able to mimic even with the most powerful of illusion or transmutation magic. Nonetheless, we will continue to investigate. I don't think that is necessarily where you will be best placed. The three of you seem to be rather adept at infiltrating the psyche of the worlds that you enter into. For example, there was a moment when you were on H264 where we believed that you were actually Feloriat. It was not for long until we realized that you hadn't yet executed the commander of the camp for allowing you to be taken prisoner in the first place, but it was fairly convincing. Flint, of course, you integrate in almost any society, given the fact that we have as yet to encounter a Flint who has deviated from your current programming, as it were.
You've been spying on us.
We have been watching, yes. We watch all of the dimensions. And before you burst, Warren, yes, you are the youngest we have encountered so far. Usually you come to us a little older, or not at all. I'm afraid your success at surviving is limited.
I almost have to disagree. I've helped. Like I've been beating down monsters. I look like an action figure.
Yes, that's the mentality that generally gets you killed. Unfortunately, your heart is on your sleeve, and sometimes you allow it to lead you. As a result, it sometimes leads you into the maws of very large creatures, which you don't actually have the capacity to defeat.
My heart is the only way that can lead me. How else am I supposed to reach out to Delu?
You hear Kent take his inhalation of breath as he's about to release this insult, and the old man's hand just shoots up. Before we enter into any of those, Warren, you are a noble warrior, and your sacrifices in the future and in the past have been without doubt the most valorous of any of the current shifters. So rest assured, young man, you are vital.
Okay.
Do Do you have a registry of the people who currently stay within the hub? Like which homeworlds they're from, like 264 and their names? Is because Warren's family went missing and there's potential that they might have gone through the same rifts.
The one of the ones that hasn't yet spoken steps forward. Fairly stout-looking dwarf. We've got a registry of everything and everyone that comes through the hub, aye. But just because you've stepped through a rift doesn't mean that you come through the hub. Remember, the rifts connect directly to different dimensions, and there's almost no way of knowing where the individual went, except for a wee telltale little sign, which, if you didn't know about it, you wouldn't even know where to look.
And what is it so we know where to look?
When the rifts form, usually speaking, they're like a hole in the universe, if you like. But if you happen to hold up one of the shards that we use, one of the rough stones, you'll see that there's all kinds of extra information that's presented in that hole. There's a certain light coloration separation that happens. Not to get too technical about it, but there's a dimensional gamma shift in the light spectrum. If you know what you're looking for, you can see the colours, and the colours correlate. So once you've figured out the colour of the dimension basically that you've shifted to, you know where you are. Aye.
Okay.
That's what most people say, lad. Don't worry.
So you would have to know what color your dimension is and who you are to be able to figure out if you're home or if you're in a similar place.
Aye, absolutely. But you don't need to worry about that. If you get back to your home dimension, you'll feel it all over your body. Basically, it's kind of like... how can I put it? Going on a long journey where you're sleeping in lots of different beds and different places all the time, and then you're getting home and going to sleep in your own bed for the first time. You get all warm and cozy when you return. You don't need to worry about that at all.
Yeah, I miss my home.
Yeah, we all do, lad. Don't worry. I've been here about 180 years, give or take. I don't think I've ever been back to my home dimension. Just doesn't pop up.
Well, we gotta find it.
Aye, it's not important now, laddie. There's far greater things that we need to be looking at.
I think we got larger things to do, and I don't know about you, but I feel like my bolts are about to fall off. So
Yeah.
that last ride on the train went.
Well, you wanted to get all oiled and go to the shop that they introduced you to. Maybe Warren and I should go to see if his family has ever came through the registry.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, they did say the foundry weren't too hospitable to flesh sorts. So yeah, maybe I'll go stick my head in and see what's what, and maybe I'll meet you in that small little dive bar that we came in on.
Oh, we give more
Sounds like a
juice.
plan.
No more juice for you for a while.
Unless there's enough for him to pass out, then that's fine.
Right?
Yeah, whatever he's on, it's either too little or not enough.
What are we
I
gonna
lift
take
up, I lift up my hammer and go, yeah, onwards! And all of a sudden, you see like the hammer just shift and change. You see it like start like to flow and turn, and it's like a black onyx, and it started to change like a different shape. Where I'm like, what? And you see like this like long curling golden tail as it starts to shape and turn into a dragon's body and a mouth. The hammer has now formed into this strange dragon-esque kind of warhammer. And it's brimming brightly. Just
You need
okay.
that?
This is new.
Are there any temples of Delu nearby? In the hub?
Yes, Kent will show you, says the old man. I will. Yes, off you go.
Come on, you can try some more pickup lines.
I like this old man.
So you said I could try some more pickup lines. Is there a chance of success? He says. Looking...
No, not even the slightest, darling. Come on, Warren. Let's go take a look at Delo and your family.
Okay. He's just gonna look at it and all of a sudden just it's gone. Just
Probably for the best.
I hope I get it back.
Oh my god.
All right,
with,
so
with the badge that we got, Flint's gonna actually place his on the interior of his hat, just on the front bit there, and then put it back on.
nice. Flora, where are you?
How
placing
big
your
is
badge?
it? How big is it?
It's a little rosette, about that big.
That's me.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can get mine inside my locket, the trinket that Varian gave me.
Yeah, you can. Yep.
Okay, so I'll put it inside the locket and put it back.
All right. Where are you hiding yours, Warren?
I guess I'm just gonna put it in my pouch. Also, I'm just kind of like patting my side. I'm like, this is where my hammer was, right?
It's gonna be okay. Maybe this is for Delu.
I guess.
All right, follow me. We'll go to the Temple of Dallow, says Kent as he leads you out. Flint, you're heading over to the foundry to go and meet up with your kin.
Yep. And get repaired.
And get repaired. Absolutely. You get to the foundry, you see that chap who invited you before, and he leads you in, and there's that wonderful, familiar aroma of mixed oils and hydraulic fluids. It's a chemical delight. And when he hands you this slightly smoldering, very large metal cup, the liquid inside of it, well, it's big enough it fits in your hand, but it's a robust tankard, let's say. The liquid inside of it is still slightly warm because it has to be. And yes, it has the aroma of everything that you remember from home. This will coat all of your internal operations and processes with a sort of an antifreeze type of thing. Great for working in winter.
I'll sort of take it to my lip and sort of pour it down his gullet. He can sort of feel the antifreeze sort of reaching almost every single like perforated hole and dinged up spot, and it's almost like this like soothing syrup that just passes through his body. Up until this point, Flint sort of felt like this cog tightened around a spring to a point where it was almost bursting, but then it's sort of now unwound a bit, and you could see like there's sort of like this hissing sound as his shoulder plates, his abdominal cavity sort of start to untense and unwind, as it were, and the lubrication allowing him a lot more movement. He seems to be arguably a lot faster than he was in previous forms, and so fast, in fact, you believe he can reload his gun and fire it even faster than he could before.
You're certainly carrying around a lot of tension in your bones there, boy. All right, you strip down your outer plating, and we'll go get that hole or 2 or 5 sorted out. Don't worry, ain't no one gonna be looking at you.
Yeah, that's all right. They're welcome to look. He takes off his basically his outer shell chassis. The only thing he leaves on is his right arm, which Hank and the rest can noticeably see that railway spike from his time as a working the rails. The one seems to be jammed in the firing mechanism, so he can't actually take off his arm, that particular arm plate.
You want us to have a look at that? Sort you out?
No, I'm all right with this one. It reminds me where I come from. You know, no matter how far I go, I always remember where home is and what it's like.
You want to be reminded that you were a construction originally designed simply to lay down track for them.
Can't appreciate what you got if you forget what it was that you hate.
Can't move forward if you cling to that which you hate. It's like an anchor keeping you back.
He sort of thinks and pauses for a moment. He also recollects the journey up until this point, thinking about how strong Warren has been, despite his age, naivety, and inexperience. How Feloria rose up above her emotional connection with Virion to get a job done. And Flint looks at it and he says, "You know what? Maybe it is time for a change. Maybe it is time for something different. If you can help me out with this, I'd be much appreciated, Hank."
Not a problem. Not a problem. We're going to look out for each other, considering how few of us are left. Feloria, you and Warren are being guided by Kent to this magnificent structure built into, it looks like a valley. So there's the hub, and then these stairs leading down into this very large valley. There's bits of grass that are busy being grown and tended to. There are it looks like dozens of little kobolds running around, all with straw hats on, busy tending the grounds, tending the grass. In the middle of it, there is this construction going on. It looks like a trench is being dug and rocks are being brought in. Every now and again, this giant big ogre comes lumbering down with a great big sack on his back, and he sort of pours out all of these river stones and things. There is, and at the back of this pseudo valley that's being constructed, there appears to be the foundations of a very large church-like thing being built. Well, that's the future. That's Warren's space right there. Now you've seen it, let's go.
You can head on back if you would like, if you don't want to show us to the registry after. I think, Warren, would you like to go in?
You see like a couple like tears like trailing down. Just
I'll come up and just put my arms around him from behind, like, "It's okay, buddy.
Wait, you like guys that cry?
He's my friend."
I can cry too, from time to time.
Yeah, but this is strictly plutonic, and you want more, and I would never do that.
This reminds me so much of home.
Why don't we go take a look inside?
Sure.
Okay.
I think that's nice.
Yeah. You know what? You go ahead. Just you go ahead. You go on in there.
No,
Hey,
we
Ken.
will. Bye, Ken.
just like Warren turns around like,
Look, you said a lot of mean things to me, but
Yeah.
Delu's doors will always be open.
Yeah. Yeah, you've told me that a lot. You've told me that a lot.
I still don't get it, but okay.
and just walks in.
Have you ever tried listening? And they'll start following Warren.
He just sort of sighs and he's like, okay, I gotta get me some of this plutonic. What's this plutonic stuff? He goes off. Warren, you enter inside this space and it's a little different from what you remember the home of Delu to be like. There's a few things that are out of place. The smell is just not quite right. There's too much cinnamon in the air. And this young kobold comes hopping over to you.
Blessings you have come for? Yes. Delu, welcome all. Delu's door's always open.
Yeah. I'm a paladin of Delu,
And I start speaking in Draconic, just
and
and it's just in a greeting of welcome.
The
And,
kobold looks up at you and goes,
I'm still suffering from cold. Voice can't do that. But I welcome you nonetheless.
he says as
Oh.
he hops down the corridor.
well, thanks for welcoming us.
He sort of gestures towards the central chamber.
Oh God, Floria, did I just assume that someone could speak my language just because of how they look?
No, sweetheart. God is sick.
Oh man. That's just a big leap in my brain power today.
Yeah. So as you enter into the inner chamber, you can see the massive sculpture of Delu has been created. Just beautifully made, cobbles all over the place, just busy putting on gold leaf to make it even shinier. Standing in the middle of the chamber is this fairly old-looking individual, but again, dressed in sort of quite heavy plate mail. And as he turns around, Feloria, you recognize him instantly because of the crazy beard. It's definitely Warren from the future. One of the iterations who's died multiple times in your arms.
Is this the one with the eye patch, or is this the one?
He has both his eyes, but a slightly crazed look in his eyes as well.
I'm like, what? And I'll just run over to go hug him.
He gives you a massive hug. It's so cool to see that you're not yet dead.
It's so good to see you not dying in my arms.
Right?
Right.
Are you like are you a head priest or head of the? Who are you?
Well,
Lord.
I'm you, but not from now. From like, never mind. That's not important. We should pray to Delu. It's an amazing moment that you've been brought here so that you can see all of his glory, and then you can help me. There's some details I've forgotten, like the fish in the river. What color were they?
Whoa, slow down! Like, hang on. Oh, gee, wait, so you're, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm me, I'm right here, you're you, you're right there.
That's right, exactly. I'm right here. And yes, I know, it's kind of like mind-blowing. But at the same time, we all worship Delu, right?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. We should just, yeah.
Yeah, they tried to explain it to me too, but I didn't get it completely when I first arrived. I've been here for quite some time. But anyway, Floria?
So,
Yes.
You never met Delu. Maybe you should,
I think he's trying to say, maybe you can give us a moment. I don't mean to shoo you, but here, and I just hand over a 10 gold. So I'm like, you want to maybe go do something because this will be boring.
You can keep that, but maybe you guys should go pray to Delu, and I will go pray in a separate room to Delu.
Really? Okay. I mean,
He said he accepts everyone. In my world, no one else ever did.
yeah. You
well,
should.
in that case, then, we've got a whole bunch of cobble. You're much better at dealing with her than I ever was, says Warren, too.
Well, I mean, you just have to be patient.
Really? I kind of never got that with my one. Anyway, you've really worked on her if she's worshipping Delu already. Mine took years.
Well, I just think she's really nice. She's accepting of things. It's just, yeah, we should do our thing. Okay. So, Floria, the biggest thing is to sit really still and to like push anything in your head, like any blah 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 or any like thoughts, or sometimes you might think of cats or I don't know what you think about,
Butterflies.
but whatever's there, push it away.
Okay. Do you guys want to just pray on your own? I can wait.
I mean, I guess. I mean, there's probably another room. Is there another room? I'm not
Boy,
gonna.
there are other rooms. Of course, there's other rooms. I tried to create the whole cave from when we were with Delu. So yes, there's the reading room, and there's the playing room, there's the practice rooms, there's the eating rooms. Yes,
I'm gonna call you
to take
Warren. because that makes it easier for us.
Well, that's
I'm
who I
Warren,
am.
you're Warren.
Yes.
I'm gonna get a kobold to take me to the practice room, and you guys can come get me when you're done.
Okay.
Okay. This is really weird. Okay, Lauren, let's do it.
All right. Floria, you are led off from this weird little space to the practice room. It looks as if it's a very well kitted out medieval training space. There's wooden dummies. There's rotorons that you sort of hit the shield and then the sword spins around the back and the like. It really does look like a lot of practice is going on. There are several kobolds busy in practice at the moment. They welcome you without too much of an issue. You haven't been sort of swinging too much when Kent kind of says, so you wanted to go to that registry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought we should probably wait for Warren because it's his family we're looking for.
Huh. So, funny story. Warren and I go back a long way, you could say.
I caught that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Warren should not find out what's in that registry. That's all I'm saying. Not unless you don't want him to go all gung-ho and go and die.
Maybe we should head off without him, and then I can better understand what you're getting at.
Yeah, that scenario works out a little bit better. But basically, I'm just saying that I haven't yet encountered a situation where when you tell him what happened, that he doesn't immediately go off and die. Just putting that out there as a platonic friend.
I appreciate that.
Right.
You can lead the way, and let's find out.
All right. He leads you through to that portal that you originally arrived at, and the old guardian is there. He looks at the guardian. Show her the entry. The one that you show them every time they arrive. The guardian goes to this bookmark section and pulls the book back. Both of his family members came through here.
From his world.
Yep. As near as best we can figure out.
And what happened to them?
The Guardian pages forward one. They jumped. And before you ask, they jumped to a world which is currently under Clack Door control.
I see.
Yep. Now do you see why it's important that your Warren doesn't find out where they went? Once he finds out, every single time, and I mean every single time, you would think that there would have been a variation in this kid's upbringing. Every single time it's the same thing. Delu, parents jump through portal to go and save them from the Clack Door. Boom, death.
And he ends up in H1110, which we jumped to 3 times. I'm assuming.
No. This is a totally different environment that he jumped to. Similar outcome, though. You saw on 1110 exactly what was happening. Just picture that on a global scale, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about how I ran into Warren dying 3 times there.
Yeah, that was a different situation. That was Warren interfering. He causes a lot of trouble for me. That's why there's history. He's still very emotional in 20 years' time, so he does stuff which causes issues. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so to prevent that and move forward, instead of jumping to the world they jumped to, is there not a way to reach them before they jumped?
You see, this is why we should have dinner, so that I can explain to you the entire process, that you can understand it. Because if you go to pointy ears, he's going to look down on you and say that you would not be able to comprehend the situation because of your limited logical abilities, blah, 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 blah. It's far more complicated than that. If you go back in time to try and change what they were doing, you're going to change the timeline for everybody else on their world and everyone else who's subsequently happened.
The worm
And
would never go on his adventure.
there's all kinds of things that could potentially happen if you change that future. The other thing is, you change it for one person, you're changing it for thousands. Think of how many people were affected by the fact that his his family jumped. When they jumped, all of the people who didn't jump at that time were now suddenly be able to jump, and so there's this ripple-on effect. It becomes messy.
Okay.
And if we go for dinner, I'm just saying that there might be a way, but you'd have to get me pretty drunk first before I'd reveal it.
I know someone who could probably get you drunk.
Does that person have the cutest little pointy ears and just this little sparkle in her smile, and his name is Floria?
No! Pointy ears, really cute, sparkle and smile named Jazzy.
Yeah. That's not my bag. So, hey, if you don't want to know the information, that's fine. We can be all platonic and such.
I would agree to that.
You would?
You give me information how to save Warren's family. I will go on a dinner date with you.
Well, you got it. We'll go now. I know this nice little place. It's not very well attended. Perfect.
I know a better place. More attendance, because I don't really know who you are yet, though you apparently know me.
I know you in terms of I know many other Floria that I have met. And yeah. All right. Well, we'll play it your way. Let's do it. So
All
you
right.
take him to the same dive that you're going to be meeting Flint at?
Yep.
All right.
We're going for dinner.
Flint, you are re-kitted out in your newly padded and metalled and reforged armor, looking shiny, sparkly, and feeling, well, just so well oiled, and you feel like a new being.
I sort of look at my arm now that it's actually repaired for the first time in about almost a decade. He sort of isn't used to the heft anymore, and he kind of smiles softly about it. He then takes a moment. Is there like a big like sort of drinking area in the foundry where there's a lot of the Ironborn gathered
Yeah,
around?
there are about 4 or 5 of them. Well, there's 5 of them, excluding Hank and yourself. They're busy playing around the cards.
I'll try to get their attention. If I've got any currency that's valuable here, I'll buy a round of lubricant for everyone.
All right. Yeah. Well, first one's on the house. It's not often we get your kind around here, so it's a real treat.
Says, well, it's less for hospitality and more for, well, I've got rather a serious matter to discuss with the folk in this here room. Flint sort of stands so that they can all sort of see him, and he says, now, I'm sure all of you by this stage are far more acquainted with the scenario that we found ourselves in here in the hub. With the clack-clack door, with the broken worlds, there are many problems that exist, and I have every intention of helping it. But just like any other Ironborn, true and iron-blooded folk like us, we don't do things for ourselves without taking stock of the impact it has on those around us. Now, I learned that if we were to try and save the broken worlds, if me and my companions were to, in part, try and bring an end to different dimensions to bring the world back in alignment, it'll remove all those from those dimensions. Now, we come from a world that ain't sunshine and rainbows. I've seen worlds where the sun shines down and can warm you just from standing out in the field. I've come from worlds where people band together to rise up against great odds. That, as you guys know, ain't how our world works. I have every intention of heading back home, but with the intention of fixing the problem that's there, which comes at the risk of, well, us no longer being. But I ain't too comfortable with the prospect of doing this without the blessing of my kin, or at least the kin who are able to be aware of the scenario presented in front of them. So I wanted to ask you, I wanted to get your blessing. This is something that I think is important and something I'd rather do. And if you don't see eye to eye, I can't promise that I won't, but I'll give you the plenty of shots to come stop me.
The heavier set and older looking model looks up at you. So what you're saying is you're gonna try and fix the world, but in fixing the world, you're gonna cause all of us to no longer exist.
As I understand it, that's what risk we take. And I honestly hope to the maker that that our world ain't the real one, ain't the one that's left standing when all's said and done and the dust clears.
What'll happen to all of us?
Well, I imagine it'll be our version of retirement, old timer. We'll just simply have our cogs stop spinning and give the world to someone who, I don't know, maybe has a better chance of a good life.
Yes, another one stands up. Well, I, for one, am not going to support that in the slightest. I have to say, I am completely against that idea. We have only just now started our liberation of our people. We have only just now started to realize the true potential of our construction. We are more than just an assemblage of bolts and cables and pipes and tubes and whatnot. Sure, we don't eat what the regular folk eat, but that ain't no our problem. We ain't designed that way. Now, whatever kind of gods you might wish to impose upon yourself, we certainly don't have that disadvantage. We know we were constructed for a specific purpose. But we also know that we have risen above that purpose. We are beyond what was just created. Simply to erase all of that in the name of hoping for a better world, that would mean that we ourselves are not worth saving. Surely that is contrary to what should be our purpose. Our purpose is to be better than what we were. Erasing what we are simply is not a solution as far as I'm concerned.
What you say is true, friend. And far be it from me to be someone who's just walked off the rift pad and come and told you what's what. But if we are anything, we are creatures who are learning the value of choice, the value of decisions. And this is my decision. But it won't be the Ironborn that'll go into that quiet. Everything we have ever known, even the steam fitters. We wouldn't go alone. They'd be coming with us. And that, I don't know, that puts a little bit of perspective on it. Could you imagine a world where they didn't ruin everything? Where they didn't poison the sky, the ground, the land? A world where so many of our kind weren't sent to the forges for refitting.
The young one clanks out, leaving you and the others. He's one of the new ones. You'll have to excuse him. He's not so loyal to his makers or to his cause, as it were.
That's all right. As I said, choice is something that we had to fight for. Something that we fought a long time for. He'll come round. He'll find his own way. If that path causes us to cross, well, I guess that's what's going to happen.
We got your back, Flint. if you can create a space where the gaslighters, the fitters, the turners, all of that doesn't ever exist, I think it's a better world. And if that means sacrificing the likes of us, well, hell. We're just a bunch of nuts and bolts and tubes and shit. Ain't nobody gonna miss us.
I'll sort of walk over to the old timer, and I'll stretch out my new hand, and sort of do the Ironborn sort of grasp of solidarity.
Hey, Warren,
Yes?
I can't really concentrate. Can you?
It's all about the breathing, Lauren. You just have to breathe and just let your mind come at peace.
No, I know, but there's also... I have so many questions. You're the first one to have been with Dello so recently. You're
Yeah?
the youngest of us that we've found so far.
I mean, yep, that's me.
Yeah. So I have so many details that I've forgotten, which I kind of felt bad for a while until I realized, well, by all the flowers in the river, you can't keep track of everything. So it's kind of makes sense that you can't remember everything. But there's some details which you might be able to remember, which I couldn't remember, and then that you can fill those in so we can make sure that this is the best temple to Delo that there is.
Of course. Ask away.
Okay, well, then we should probably start outside, because I can't remember exactly how high the waterfall was. I kind of remember it being kind of high, but not very high. But maybe
No,
you
it was
remember?
pretty high.
Yeah, that's kind of what I remember too, but pretty high is not very specific. The kobolds like details.
I don't know numbers that well though.
Well,
It's like
I've been
it's like
jumping off the top of it and trying to remember if this how long it takes for me to hit the pool at the bottom.
why have you been doing that? That's so weird.
But that's what Dello did. He made me jump every time.
That doesn't mean you're supposed to go and jump.
Well, how else am I supposed to remember how high it was?
It's kind of like you're comparing something of maybe similar height to what you might remember. Hang on, come with me. Come outside. Let's go.
All right. The two of you head on outside. You haven't got very far when the centaur comes galloping down. You are summoned,
Huh?
Warren.
Well, that's pretty quick. Okay, real fast. Okay, Lauren, it is like, imagine like maybe like 30 large trees or so, but like stacked on top of each other. You know what I mean?
Right. But look down, he says, and you realize you're at the edge of this waterfall. It will be a waterfall once there's water there.
Okay.
How high is it?
It's about 1.5 miles. It's just cliff face all the way down, and then there's this
Okay, that's pretty
really
high.
small little
I think,
patch.
yeah, I think this is about accurate, actually. You did a good
What?
job.
Really? Couldn't remember if it was...
Yeah, just do me a favor. Don't jump anymore, but I gotta go. You keep on your toes and try to do that mind-opening thing. I show him the symbol of Earth. Earth. I said it weird. Earth, like this, like holding it like this, and just sitting and in place, just letting it all go. Breathing. It takes time.
Yeah, I didn't spend that much time with Dello, so maybe it's good that you can come back later then.
Yeah. I gotta go. So, good luck. Bye. Just walks.
All right, the centaur takes you back to the center. Flint, your handshake with this mechanical old timer is abruptly ended when there's a knocking on the door and there's a centaur. You are summoned to the council.
Housekeeping centaur.
I'll sort of nod to the old man and to the rest of the Warforge, and before we leave, I'll Hank, listen, thank you for your hospitality. You know, It's after today and after all I've learned, it's been a lot to me. Meeting you and the other folk here. You know, I hadn't come across another Ironborn since I fell through the rift, so thank you.
There are not a lot of us out there, and before you get me all leaking and stuff, if you happen to come across an exasperator or an inverter, I'd be much obliged if you would bring that along. The one we have is on the fritz. It kind of got shot at before we could get it out. So, yeah, if you could find either of those, we'd be appreciative.
I'll keep my eye out. And besides, can't have you leaking, not after you got me looking this good.
I must say, I'm mighty impressed. I didn't think the dings were going to come out of that one, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a new Iron Forge. With that, he'll turn and make his way past the centaur. Oh, you know,
With
leading
the
by
centaur.
the centaur. Yeah.
So, will it be Merlot or Chardonnay? Says Kent as he's sitting down at this table at this dodgy dive.
Merlot's a really good wine. Don't go with Chardonnay. That's cheap.
I will have Merlot, I guess.
Of course you will. I knew you were going to have Merlot because you always have Merlot.
Why give me the option?
Well, because...
If I always have, how often have I done this?
A gentleman never kisses and tells.
Have you ever kissed?
That would be telling. That would be telling, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Would you like to kiss right now? We could
No,
kiss right
I'm
now. and
good. Why don't you tell me your plan to save Warren's family?
All right. Okay, we'll get this out of the way, then we'll take it.
Then I will sing you a song. I don't know. Play for you.
That sounds great, platonic friend. Okay. Warren's family are not dead where they went, right? They're part of this little group that are trying to get involved with the Clack Clack door somehow. I'm not entirely convinced of the whole process or the whole plan. But remember what Orkin was saying in the temple. Certain individuals have a time thing. It runs in the family. So if you have it, your brother or your mother or your father probably have it. Well, Warren's case is exactly the same. So they're working with us, but yeah, let's just say that family is... Delu's a bit of a dick, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's put it that way. There's not a lot of Warren's family left. And I kind of get the feeling that that's all part of a bigger plan. But anyway, that's an aside. So, the plan would be that we go as a team together to go get Warren's family. That way there's a bigger chance of survival. And we go at a time when we know the Clack Clack door are in hibernation. So we gotta wait. Or jump 4 or 5 years into the future. And hope that they're still alive, which I'm sure they will because they are quite resourceful. Then we find them, we get them out, we're done. But if you tell him now, he will go now and he will die.
So the Clack Clack door hibernate is what you're saying.
Well, they kind of go into these periods where they're not active. Usually it lasts for about 6 months.
Why 5 years?
Well, because his family are there for a reason. They are trying to figure out stuff. So we need to let them do that before we go in and try and get them out. 5 years is a safe
jump
number.
backwards.
What?
Well, if we jump backwards and they didn't find out what they need to learn, then we would be missing that opportunity.
So we jump 5 in the future.
Future. Yeah. Okay. And who would you say would be coming with us?
I would like a whole army, but if it's just the two of us, it could be kind of, I don't know, nice.
Look, I don't know the first thing about you.
And
All I
what a
know
great
is-
way than going on a secret mission to rescue your plutonic friend's family than that way to get to know me. You do like me, I should say. There are many, many versions of you that have not slapped me.
That's your gauge?
There's not a lot of you that have actually not slapped me, but sure, yes, I will find one who doesn't.
I will think about it.
As he's about to start, there's a centaur who arrives and summons you to the chamber of the original ones. Kent is required to attend as well. How can they have made a decision? I wasn't there. You see, this is what they do. They isolate me, and they purposefully kept me out of their decision-making process. They do it all the time. It's so irritating.
So, who are all of them? I know there's you, Kent, and Sayers and Orkin. Who else?
Well, we're the original 6 that jumped just after Rufkinikin blew up the dimensional fabric of time and space.
Are you from H001?
We're from, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, you could say that. Most of us, that was the original point of exit. Yes.
So then you guys wouldn't be able to put your home world back together because then you guys would disappear, correct?
It's complicated. H0001 is it's where Rufkinikin ignited the artifact, which shattered everything. So as a result, you kind of got to put everything else back together first before you can then lock it back into place. So we won't be able to get back to home for quite some time. Not until everything else is put together.
Okay. In your history of your world, what timeline is that to me? Like, did I know you from like the homeland or like?
God, no. I did not know you before the rifts formed.
Like, I don't understand why you're very interested in me, and I don't understand why.
Because you're still thinking about everything as a sequence of events. What you've got to put in your mind, there are 1,000 dimensions that are created. Of those 1,000 dimensions, maybe 100 versions of you have come through that portal. When 100 versions of beauty and perfection walk past you every day, you're bound to develop an emotional attachment to said personification of beauty and wisdom and charm. And
Okay, you're laying it on real thick. Really, calm down a bit.
I'm just saying that's what I've experienced. You haven't experienced it yet because you haven't been here for a while. But wait, I guarantee you tomorrow, new versions of you will come through here.
So I'm just another version then.
I would like to think you're the version. The original. I mean, hey. We've been together now for more than an hour and...
It seems like you've had a long time to learn how to not get me to hit you.
Oh, you have no idea, he says as he leads you into the chamber.
All right, I will follow.
I can imagine like the whole time the centaur just like, what the hell am I dealing with you? Just
Yeah.
a bunch of people.
I am thinking the same thing. I'm just like, oh, I feel bad for this poor man.
The council looks at you. Given your recent commitment to our purpose, says the elder woman, we have 2 potential sites that you could possibly report to.
Okay.
There has been a development on a homeworld that needs to be corrected. Potentially another artifact has been created that can split dimensions. This is the outcome that we dread the most, because obviously it results in greater catastrophe. That is the one option. There are some significant threats, however, that come with that option. Personally, specifically to yourself, Flint, it's your home dimension that we would be sending you to.
We wouldn't be able to do that because then he ceased to exist.
This is not a correction of the dimensional split. This is the prevention of more from happening.
Okay.
This does not resolve the dimensional problem that his world has. There is another team working on that. This is simply, we have become aware of a device that must be stopped at all costs. And with Flint's unique understanding of the environment, it is best suited for him. The alternative is to travel to a world which has a remarkable dual nature. The dimension of etherealness and the prime material are interwoven in so much as they coexist together. This would be a resolution of that dimension that you head to. There is a certain means in which we close dimensional rifts. Rough Kinnikin device is detonated at a certain location within the dimension, causing it to seal shut. That would be your operation there. We cannot decide which one you must choose. There is a certain amount of investment that needs to happen, and it is your choice.
We'll go to my world. I've got some things I need to pick up from there, and, well, a trip back home might actually be just on the cards right now.
Okay.
Agree. If you're the best suited for this task, I think you should be the one to go.
I was thinking the same thing.
Not by himself, right? We're all going?
Correct.
No, of course.
You are indeed. Yes.
Okay.
Just a point of thing. Obviously, these my companions being organic. Do we have any tech suits lying about that we can equip them with before we go?
Tech suits. What exactly happens in your world?
What's a tech suit?
Well, let's just say
Uh-huh.
he sort of stops for a moment and says, well, where I come from, the atmosphere doesn't support organic life too well. The sun's been blocked out by a cloud of chaotic magic. A long time ago, long time ago, a weapon was used against the dragons. Kicked up a mighty amount of dirt, magic, poison. Most of the land ended up destroyed. Magic doesn't really exist where I come from. These wondrous things I've seen, they're decaying remnants of an age that no longer exists.
Well, this must be the bad dragons. Also, keep saying organic?
Organic means cellular living, like how we're made of flesh and tissue. And like plants are made of living life. That's organic.
That's right.
So it doesn't support us.
The Ironborn were made to go out into the wilderness, into the bright lands, and try and make places suitable for organics to come and settle. There's small cities like the sky cities that the gnomes built that protect some semblance of what remains, but with overpopulation being a thing, folk like myself and the other Ironborn are frontiers kind of people, establishing the rails, setting up farms, building domes, and the like. If we end up being ported into the middle of the Brightlands, then you'll have less than a day before you end up, well, best not say it.
So on top of heading to whatever we need to, we have a timeline of how long we can stay there. Or at least Warren and I would.
The tech suits will protect you at least for some time. Varies from person to person and the quality of the suit, but if we can get you to a purification dome, then we obviously got more time. But again, I don't want to risk having us wind up in the middle of nowhere and having to walk it.
There has been an arrangement made. There is an individual by the name of Colonel Bardock. He is located in an outpost known as Fort Lost. That's hopefully where we're going to be dropping you in. Colonel Bardock will supply you with necessary equipment that you require in order to remain alive whilst within Flint's rather inhospitable world. There is some good news, however. The Clack-Clack Door do not seem to want to be anywhere near the planet. We have detected no presence of them whatsoever. So there is that, I suppose, that one might draw some happiness.
Does it have to do with the fumes?
We're not entirely sure. We've been looking into your theory. Berg has some interesting ideas on that front, but yes, we'll...
Berg's here.
There are many versions of Berg here. He's one of the greatest minds across all the dimensions. He's working on the problem, helping us as best he can. Now, there is an individual by the name of McCready, a gnomish inventor out near Fort Lost. McCready is working on this dimensional gate device. He believes that he can control the different dimensions and force them to coexist. As far as we can see, McCready is going to cause the dimensions to fracture even more, undoing centuries worth of work that we've been doing. We can't allow this to happen.
Yeah, so we just gotta warn him, right?
Can't talk to gnomes.
Why not?
Just... Flint gets rather tight-lipped about the subject.
Let's just say McCready is obsessive about proving his ability. If you wish to talk to him, and you can talk him down into destroying his device and all of the schematics and documentation that goes with it, so be it. We have no particular choice on how this must play out. Just that his device and knowledge of how to build another one is destroyed.
Well, then we'll do our best. I think we can do this. In fact, I believe we can do this.
Now, I'm glad to hear you say that. A very
He's such a
small...
brilliant mind. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, such a brilliant mind, would it not make sense to try to bring him back here and coerce him into helping us solve the problem?
It was a version of McCready that warned us of this version of McCready. As a matter of fact, we have a few of him here, but the temperament does generally shift towards a mania and an obsessive compulsion to attempt to control the dimensions rather than close them down. So we have limited interaction with McCready's across the dimensions.
Anything else you need to know about your world before we go there?
The elf hands you a fairly plain satchel. He hands it to you, Warren. This has been prepared. There are 6 rough stones allowing you for you to return here, as well as... I'm not sure how to pronounce the currency of your dimension, Flint.
Oh, it's got a long gnomish word, but folk around the neighborhood call it scratch.
As well as several hundred scratch, so that you might better integrate yourselves with society. Their choice of dress, once you're in your survivalist suits, means that what you're wearing now will not be practical.
I should not. Sorry, I saw what someone say. Doc, you gotta believe I can't hold on to this. What? You should take this away from me. Just give it to Floria. Just nope.
I will hold on to it.
The elf turns and looks at the dwarf. I was correct. The boy is not yet ready. And resumes his station. The dwarf kind of gives you, Warren, this sigh. If there is nothing else, you can use the portal. The Guardian will direct you to your homeworld. We wish you the best of luck on this, and hope that you return swiftly and successfully.
What's the number of his homeworld?
H23641.
That's a really long one.
It is one of the more unique dimensions that has popped into existence.
H2641. Okay.
All right.
823-641.
Flynn will nod and turn to head towards the Gate Guardians.
All right. Kent comes rushing up next to you, Floria. It's going to be dangerous, and you might not return. Maybe just a peck on the cheek for good luck?
That's not how that works.
All right, on the mouth then. Okay, fine. No? Okay, good luck. Good luck with your mission.
I don't slap him, I just push him away.
Too soon, he says as he walks away.
Way too soon, 2 centuries, bye!
What is he talking about?
2 centuries? You got it! Is the
Where's
last
the
thing
bunnies,
you
Warren? Where's
hear
the bunnies?
as you make your way to the final portal. The Guardian looks and makes the necessary gestures, places the 6 stones in the correct coordinates.
I'm going to write down the coordinates as he goes.
All right. Looks back at the lot of you. I wouldn't want to go where you're going.
Are we in our suits?
Not yet. You have to pick. Is that from Colonel Bardock at Fort Lost?
Okay. I'm gonna really nervous of my little pocket. Oh no. Alright.
We'll be fine.
Just take a deep breath before we go in.
Before we jump in, I would ask the Guardian, can you show me that light trick with so I can see his light and how it matches with the portal? With the stone? And then I'll jump in.
Oh. He holds up a piece of obsidian, and you look at the portal, and you can see around the edge of the portal there these shifting colors of purple, these different bands of purple, and he points them out to you, and he says, now do you see there are 2 bands of a very dark purple,
Mm-hmm.
and then 3 bands of almost a blue,
Yes.
6 bands of a violet colour, and then the 4 bands of green. Notice that colour shift across the spectrum. Sometimes it's difficult to miss, or difficult to see, I should say.
And so if I shift it slightly over to Flint, I'd be able to see it on him?
No, just on the portal.
Okay.
It's only when there's a rift where you can compare the 2 light spectra that you notice the difference. All right.
All right.
It's not going to stay open forever.
Yep.
You step on through. there is that whoosh of everything changing, the world kind of going crazy for a moment, and then the four of you arrive.
Four of us?
And,
Four of us.
sorry, the three of you
Ken
arrive.
came with us?
Who are you?
Hi, my name's Derek.
The three of you arrive. I'm going to share that map with you now.
I
And
grew a tumor. It has a name.
Oh, geez, there is a fourth person.
there is a fourth person.
Oh, gosh.
As I share the map with you, and you are in this metal constructed sort of square. There's overgrown cacti growing everywhere. Flint, it does feel like you're at home. There's that wonderful, slightly acidic feel to the environment. You can already feel your outer shell starting to oxidize over, forming that protective patina that you need, the patina that you need. Floria and Flint, it's as if you stepped into the sulfuric soup from hell. Your lungs start to burn, your eyes start to water. Immediately, your nose feels like every breath is on fire. Your tongue starts to swell up. It's this is not a happy place in the slightest. And then standing in this heavily modified, it must be one of the suits that you were talking about. You can see this very crusty old man. He's got these great big walrus moustache inside of his domed helmet. And he's busy holding a device that's very similar to what Flint has been using these past couple months. And as the three of you appear, he looks at the three of you, kind of nods over to... It's not a cupboard. It's a piece of corrugated iron leaning on its side. You can see there's more of these suits inside there. He looks at you, Flint, and says, well, God, I hope you're on my side. He turns and then he starts firing outwards. Several booms sound, and these little holes appear in the corrugated iron around you as bullets basically sail through the interior. I'm going to choose a number 1, 2, 3. Well, 1, 2 is Valoria, 3, 4 is Flint, 5, 6 is Warren. Warren, the dice did not show because I didn't roll in the right place. So Valoria, you're the one that gets hit, I'm afraid. And yep, the damage is 2d10. Is that correct, Flint? Floria, you take 15 points of damage as you get shot through the shoulder. There's this intense pain and this spray of red vermilion as bits of your shoulder get blown out from around you. And we're into initiative. What are you doing? Flint. Yeah, it doesn't move you, but it certainly hurts like hell as it punches straight through. I'll punch in the number there for you. All right, there we go. Flint, what are you doing? They came from, and I'm drawing this on the map, they sort of came from over here, roughly. Yeah. What did I do? Try now.
Hello.
Can you hear us now, Game Vault? Player
Testing,
sounds. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
I should be able to hear you now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, Flint is going to make his way to the wall over here.
There.
Is there like a step up, like a decayed box or something that he
Yeah,
can?
absolutely. This whole thing is a ramshackle collection of tin and wood.
All right. So first action I'm going to do is the move action to get over there, and I peer over, like very slightly, to see what I can see over the edge of the barricade.
All right. As you do so, you can see a little bit away from you. It looks like they're in a trench. So a little bit more ahead. Yeah, you can see. Oops, that I put down the wrong thing. You can see these two very scaly-looking individuals in this trench here. They're busy firing quite heavily at you with flintlocks. You recognize them as these are the lizard folk. They're a bizarre mutation that survive out here in the wilds.
Right,
mutated beyond all recognition and completely nuts, but oftentimes work with bandits and things to try and get resources and things from stragglers and outlying farms and the like.
I'm like, oh, that'd be right smack dab in the middle of a lizard fight. Come on, you scaly bastards. And I'm gonna take 2 shots because I have extra attack on the one lizard folk. Woo! Oh, that's
it.
a hit. Yes. Enjoy that. Yes!
You blow its head off. Wow! There's an explosion and it drops dead.
So I'm going to use the second attack to, free action to quickly. Now that all my gears are like nice and lubricated, I can load as a free action.
Right.
Oh, that might not.
That's a hit.
Serious? Yes, I'll take it.
It dies. Completely gone. We're out of initiative because that's what happens. Yes, so the colonel looks over at you. God damn it, I could have used you about half an hour ago before the rest of them scaly-hide, dull-toothed, multi-eyed varmints showed up. Y'all better get yourselves into survival suits. You're gonna die if you don't. I assume you're new here, he says, looking over at you, Floria, and you, Warren.
What do you mean I'm fine? Precious! I'm so fine, Precious! Oh, God!
Damn suit on, Warren.
What the hell hit me? I'm like crawling over with like my one arm like hanging.
Actually, yeah, before I put the suit on, I'm gonna heal Gloria with my D6, so Celestial Warlock goodness. You get 4.
Hey, it's better than nothing.
But I can somewhat move this arm now.
Yes.
And then put on the
Trying
suit.
to like wiggle my way into the suit. I asked Flint to help me because I can't move his arm that well.
Yeah, Flint will also sort of help hook them up to the air filtration tanks and sort of tighten up the little pipe cords that sort of attach to these copper devices that sit heavy just above the hip around the back. As soon as it starts up, you can hear this sort of drumming noise as he plugs it all in. He does the same thing for Warren as well.
I don't
I'm
like
just kind
it.
of dumb, so I don't know how to put it on.
I don't like this because it's stilling my ability to hear other things. Like that's
What?
so distracting.
Oh, you need to hold down the little thing. It'll connect you to, well, any Ironborn nearby and the other suits. But it's only got like maybe a 30-foot radius.
I click it like so you can hear me.
There's
Okay,
no need
now.
to shout.
I click it again and I'm like, I don't like it because it's dulling my senses to everything else around.
Well, you could certainly take it off. And that would allow you to listen and hear as you slowly melt into a puddle of goo.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Flint's going
You gotta
to
press the button, boy. That button on your chest.
Can you guys hear me?
Ah! Ah, Warren.
I'm sorry. This feels weird. I feel clunky.
They sent you three. You're the three that they sent to take out McCrady's gang.
We're getting adjusted to this world. Just give us a second.
I feel so
Sure.
big.
Sure, take as much time as you like. I'll give you a tour of Fort Lost. He
Wall
waves
one,
his
wall
hand.
two.
There we go. You've been on the tour of Fort Lost. It ain't pretty, and it ain't much. And to be perfectly honest with you, it shouldn't be here either. But here we are, right on the outskirts of nowhere.
Flint, click the button. Are we supposed to talk with your accent here?
No, you don't need to. Folk around here sound like you, especially if they come from one of the clean cities. But it's up to you. You can try it if you want. I mean, Warren did a good job on that train while we were back there.
How you be doing there? As
Yeah,
I talk
maybe stick to your own
slow.
accents. Maybe that's for best.
I hereby say boring.
At this point, I just wanted to ask the GM real quick: is this place nowhere, or is this nowhere?
So, Fort
Is it
Lost,
different?
you can give me a history check on Fort Lost, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Or more like Fort Found.
Uh,
I see what you did there. Very funny.
Big funny joke.
That's
No.
We're all gonna come back next week and we'll have practiced this accent,
Yep.
just in case we need to get into like some conversation.
So itch for a fight.
wow, 20.
Dirty
Okay. So, yes, you remember vaguely hearing of Fort Lost. You worked on the railways where you were laying down track, basically. And this version of Braxia, you need to think of it as much more isolated city pockets within these large pieces of track in between. Now, Fort Lost is probably about as far away from any city as you can get. In the heartland of what many would consider today to be the Dwarvish territories in the south, there ain't no one out there. It's just miles and miles and miles and miles of irradiated, desolate space. Fort Lost was originally designed to be an outpost to monitor the situation and make sure that nothing was untoward was happening there. If it's just Colonel Bardock who's out here, it means that they've forgotten about them, basically. So that's what you know of Fort Lost. The nearest railway line is probably about 180 miles to the north from here.
Are there any kind of large notable landmarks that, I mean, because I'm thinking along the lines of if a gnome were to build some sort of big magical noisy device,
Right.
if there were landmarks that I'm aware of that might make for a suitable laboratory for a steam fitter.
Well, steam fitters need lots of water, and you are aware that the Bralador River is somewhere in this region.
I'll approach the colonel and said, so you've been here on your own this whole time?
I've been here for about 5 years on my own, that's right.
Fort Lost is a mighty far way to place a man. How you holding up?
I am absolutely fine. But I'd appreciate it if you didn't stand in Clark's way there. You're blocking his view.
In the what? I sort of turn around.
Clark?
Huh?
Does he have a tennis ball?
It's just cacti, open plains, desolate, mucky plains. There's a faint green glow coming from the west, but other than that, it's pretty desolate. There is a slight tent, the remains of a white tent on the opposite side of looks like a muddy path of some kind.
Is that a grave outside?
Yep, got to bury the dead somewhere.
Huh.
Sort of Clint sort of nods, realizes that this particular organic might have been out here for a bit too long. He says, so our mission is to find this McCready fellow.
That's right.
You don't happen to know where he's currently held up, do you?
I sure do.
Reckon you'd be kind enough to share that information?
I'd take you there. We got to follow the river down south, a little bit eastish. It's mighty difficult, though. I should warn you. There's some pools of radiation we're going to have to avoid. So I figure you all want to get used to wearing those suits. Get kind of comfy-like whilst in their operations. Yeah? You got to press the button, son. Press the button.
Yeah. Yeah.
I reckon that was the case, so I went and rolled up one of the local tribes, insulted their chief, did the usual kind of thing. So I'm expecting an attack. Those two varmints you killed when you just arrived, those were the scouts. Now that they're not going back, we'll probably be attacked at sunset by a good number of them. They're native creature things, the lizard kind. That'll give you plenty of opportunity to survive in the suit, or, you know, realize you can't.
Is it possible to avoid them if we can get around them somehow?
Well, no, I summoned them right here.
You want to use it as practice. Ain't no point going up against McCready and a real threat. Lizard folk, we like to call them pinata people.
Well, they're still people. Can't kill them.
They're mutated lizard creature things, boy. When they arrive, you can have a chat to them and figure out just exactly how you're gonna kill them for sure. But you're gonna kill them, trust me. When you see what they do to one another as well as what they're gonna try and do to you, well, let's just say Clark over there, he only got one leg for a reason. And
Who's Clark?
He's sitting right over there. Clark is sitting over there. He's next to Quinn. Yeah. Quinn, get out of the way. They can't see Clark.
Is there anyone actually there?
Nope.
I'm looking for a Wilson.
Wilson!
Yeah, he's currently talking to what looks to be an empty bedroll and possibly a flower on a cactus.
Oh, I see him. Hi, Quinn. I'm Warren. And hello, Clark. I'm Warren.
See, the boy gets to see him.
While they're discussing the bedrolls, I'm going to go over to the lizard folk, and I'm going to gather their bullets and their guns, and then return.
All right. As you're busy picking up, you realize these flintlocks are incredibly old. How they were even firing, you're not entirely sure. The bullets that they have 7 rounds each on them that you can pick up. As you're picking up the last of the bullets, your eye is drawn to the north. There isn't enough map to scroll further north, but there's a low ridgeline. And on the very top of that ridgeline, you suddenly start to see appearing lizard folk with feathers sticking out of their scales, some holding flintlocks, some riding these rather cadaverous looking, they're known as marsh horses. It's not a horse at all. It's more like a very emaciated caiman crocodile.
Oh,
but they stand quite tall. They usually just eat dead meat. They're not very aggressive, hence marsh horses. So you just see this line on the ridge above you. And suddenly one of them lets out this very shrill cry, this bark. And then all of them suddenly start this call that just sort of echoes around the valley. Well, I hope you're ready for some learning.
Oh, God.
And we'll be back next week when the Broken World Chronicles continues as our intrepid heroes face off against the Pinata people. Really? The Pinata people?
Pinata. We call them confetti. Yeah,
I want to fight so bad. I want to fight so bad.
with your new shiny toys, having leveled up just before the session began. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to my players for having, for interacting with the world as you did.
I had to hide these.
You had to hide your headphones, so all good. And thank you for watching back home. The Broken World Chronicles continues next week.
Bye, guys.
Same time, same place as usual. So I'm going to stop the recording.
Oh, and then are they going to
we can chat very briefly.
Or...
If there's any questions for the team, I'm not sure if there are. I'm just looking at the chat. Welcome to Fort Lost, the only fort here in the Wounded Knee Valley. There we go. Wounded Knee. Wounded Knee. I like that.
Wounded Knee Valley.
The Wounded Knee Valley. Yep.
Just gotta make sure.
So you just hard all to call the Lizards. That's sure is indeed. Absolutely.
Lizard.
That's
and
it.
Warren doesn't want to fight so much, but Freddy wants to fight so badly. So...
Oh yeah.
I just want to whack him. I
want to go to saloon.
Go to saloon.
I'm actually pretty chuffed. I was like, I didn't know we'd be going to the homeworld yet. I've got like so much stuff that I was like, I want to see all this stuff, and I felt really bad. I had a faux pas, and I want to point it out. I did a very bad player thing where
Right.
this is like what happens when you GM too much is when your GM for a second, you instantly try to help them out by filling in the blanks. So when he had that caiman crocodile thing that he was mounting, he was like, they're riding and I just jumped in with like, lizard emu. And then he finished up.
Lizard emu. I
know. Yeah, I know. I felt really bad. I was like, oh my god, no! I'm backseat GMing. I'm doing all the things I tell people no. I felt terrible. No, but
You're
yes.
so excited.
I'm so excited. That's just how excited I am for this. The lizard folk were great, and you know what? This is the first time I've just succeeded. Like that's
you finally fired your gun.
Yeah, I finally just shot something. It died. I'm like over the moon. I'm like, Flint is in his home turf. That's right. Look out.
Look out. He is actually going to be competent.
I felt bad that like I took it a little bit for the description like of that Warhammer. I know I'm going to do a better job next week when we actually do get in that little bit of a fight, because I wanted to like get into more detail, but the moment I started doing, I'm like, no, we have to keep going. We have to keep going on with the session. I'm kind of holding it up a little bit.
Well, I'm excited to see what that new thing is. I quite like the description, to be honest with you.
I'm just really excited to actually use it for once, because like you know how like warlocks have like an issue sometimes with their spellcasting focus. This is Pact of the Boon, Pact of the Boon, the Blade, and I changed my Eldritch Invocation from Eldritch Sight. I still have Dark Sight, but the Eldritch Sight to the Blade, where now that is my spellcasting focus. So I can literally go like boom in existence and then cast for my hammer. It's gonna look super cool.
I think so.
I also thought it was really cool today. Feloria had like this huge Nancy Drew kind of moment, and I could watch. It was actually incredibly entertaining watching Guy's face as he was like, "Yep, that's the plot. Thank you for finding that out right now. Yep. Oh, that too as well. Yep, you've solved everything. Well done, Nancy Drew." I just imagined at some point Feloria just leans over to Kent and goes, "Hang on a minute." Pulls off his mask. He's a clack door. It was the clack door the whole time. It was.
I have a bad habit of like trying to solve everything because I play with my fiance and he'll like have things like super planned and like I might be doing. Is it this? And he's like, yeah, sure. I'll just give you a level because you figured it out. We have a thing now that one of my characters will be allowed to jump a level if I can solve something before it turns up in the game.
Right.
So I'm really bad at it.
I mean, you asked some great questions. I thought they were really cool. I was like, especially the thing with the registry and Warren's family and stuff. I thought that was cool. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, no, that makes total sense. And that's really cool. I mean,
I'm so excited for that mess to happen.
I don't know what to do. That is such a moral dilemma that knowing if I tell you, you will leave and die.
Oh yeah, no.
But if I don't tell you, I'm literally keeping a secret from you that shouldn't. I think you should have the right to know.
It depends. Do you want to push the button?
Push the button while we're here. Just push
You
down
can't leave. I have the satchel.
Oh yeah, you do.
We'll just keep all the stones away from Warren.
Yeah, that's it. Warren can't carry stones no more. Actually, also on that note, it was hilarious that Warren somehow ended up the mature person in a scenario with another Warren. I was like, he was looking at it and I was like, yeah, now you know how the rest of us feel. Like, it's just like,
Yeah,
this is
no,
what we
no,
do
we-
all
Oh my
the
God.
time. And he's sitting there going, don't jump off the waterfall. That's dumb. You need to be patient. Hang on a minute.
that reveal just like, slow down. Why are you talking so fast? Why do you wait?
Right, right.
Why am I talking so fast?
I must
Oh,
admit, I had
man.
fun with that. I really did. And I did not know where you guys were going to go, because when you set up something like this and you say, right, we are this mysterious organization and we want you to join us, the players usually there's two routes that they will usually take, right? Either they will push back and go, no, we resist against your evil ways and you're going to manipulate everything and we blah 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 blah, and you kind of go off independently, or you join the organization. And then there's complications that happen thereafter. So I really didn't know where necessarily you guys were going to head off. And because we have only got a few shows left, I thought, well, we have this wonderful world that's been created, but I also want to explore a little bit behind Flint's story. Now, Freddie,
Yeah.
you're not here next week, I believe.
No.
Is
So
it the
sorry.
week
That was
after?
my mistake. I am here. I'm here. Let me look at my calendar. It is April 22nd that I'm not here.
So we're here next week, but not the week after.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, there we go.
It was
That's
my
fine.
dumb brain going, it's here, but it's not. But it will be April
Gotcha.
22nd.
No, that's fine. All right, so yeah, so I wanted to kind of, it was either going to be between between Warren or Flint, and I thought, well, if you're not here, I'll make it for Flint's character, then we'll sort Warren out a little bit later on.
I definitely like Warren, like kind of like almost being like hopefully when eventually we can start that second season, we can. I like the idea of like exploring the Warren thing later as development, because we didn't really, because we dived into Feloria's background a bit, especially the one shot. We dived into Warren's psyche because there's not much. It's there, it's simple, but it can develop.
Right.
I like the idea of actually like really starting to dive in with Flint and his development, which we already saw from him like interact with his own kind, and already dealing with this huge like morality like thing, just like I gotta do the right thing, but that means in destruction of myself.
Right.
Not diggity dog damn.
There's that
I think
wonderful
this-
stoke.
Yeah, I
side
think
to
this is the first time we've actually looked at Flint's backstory. Like Flint's actually been I've actually been playing him like how I imagine like the mysterious lone wanderer cowboys usually play. So I've not been revealing a lot of stuff. And there is still some stuff lurking around, which will hopefully come out through today. But I loved Guy's description of the world. It was so cool. Like I was just as soon as it comes in, that tingling feeling, the acid bath, the sulfurous oxygen, I was like, it was beautiful, because obviously we each came up with our own world and presented it with Guy. So I want to give a massive shout out to Guy, because like he took what I gave him and just brought it to life. It is alive. It is so vibrant. The map on Fantasy Grounds is freaking awesome, amazing. So I'm over the moon. I can't wait to really dig in and enjoy every
unpack
aspect
that.
of this particular story.
Anyway, I think it's been a lot of fun so far. We've got a couple episodes left, yes, as we're busy discussing in chat. And I'll let you guys go. We're also sort of coming towards the end of time. I'm going to have a very brief chat with everybody who's still watching, just to sort of
I
wrap
do have a
up.
little announcement.
Yeah.
Little tiny announcement. I made Twitch affiliate yesterday.
I saw that. Congrats.
And
Go in the ranks.
So I'll be online in about half an hour or so. Midday my time, so 45 minutes. Just kind of hanging out and saying thank you and celebrating and stuff on my channel. So
Lovely.
Yeah.
There we go. Fantastic. That's brilliant.
Congrats,
Your channel
man.
is Dead Aussie Gamer, right?
yes.
Awesome. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week for more
Bye-bye.
shenanigans.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. And they are gone there, leaving just us folks to chat very briefly. Yeah, it's great for Michael to become an affiliate. I really appreciate all of the efforts that he goes through to make his channel exciting. You should have a look at that if you have not done so already. So the show today definitely did not go where I expected it to go. Well, there was a part of me that thought that it was going to go to Flint's world. I thought the temptation would be too great for Michael to refuse that. But there was a chance that he was going to go to the other world. The other world, like I said, was submitted by one of our patrons, and I really, really like it, and I definitely want to explore it because it is so interesting. But also, yes, we don't have a lot of shows left, so we wanted to get into Flint's backstory. All of the stuff around them, wandering around the hub and meeting Warren and the like, I don't know why that took so long. It did take a lot longer than I anticipated. So I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. I thought it was entertaining. I was certainly amused by the whole thing. There's no doubt about it. Kaya is certainly putting together all of the pieces as fast as I throw them out. She kind of links them and go, okay, we can do this, we can do this, we can do that. Time travel, of course, has now become a thing. I've locked in that it's specific groups of people that time travel. So yes, there was the idea that the stones allowed you to time travel. I've now solidified it that it's certain people that allow for time travel to happen. Extra Nerdy, I see you asking the question there, how much support do you need for season 2 for it to be a thing? To be perfectly honest with you, Extra Nerdy, what we looked at was we said, okay, if we can get to 1,000 viewers on the show, then that for us is something that is worth pursuing, something that's worth moving forward to, especially for the guys. You know, they aren't full-time YouTubers. They give up of their time. Each of them have got their own pursuits and things, so it's about looking at it from that perspective. I know that sounds very cold and very harsh, but it is a reality of things. So yeah, we'll see. At the moment, I think we get about 500 views post the broadcast itself, which is still amazing to think that there are 500 people who are entertained by the craziness that is, and it's absolutely amazing to have that kind of support. So I do certainly appreciate that very much. Now, with regards to moving forward, yes, there is definitely the prospect of it happening. We just have to look at timing as things are starting to ramp up. And like I said, the 25th of May is looming. That is only 2 months away, so I've got to make sure that there's plenty of time and resources for that as well. So there we go. Lots of decisions to be made. And I think that's also something that's important. We've really just touched the tip of the iceberg in this campaign world. So where is it going to go from here? Who knows? I'm excited to see what happens in the future. As to the actual events, this McCready, who's developed this crazy explosive device thing, yes, I'll unpack the plan for that next week when we look into it. It's more of a traditional dungeon romp that I've got planned than anything else. We haven't really done too much of that with this group. I wanted it to be a little bit more straightforward, and I only wanted to take one session next week, so I am going to have to limit how much superfluous NPC contact I have with the party, as that always slows them down. Hence the very conscious decision of having Colonel Bardock all on his own in Fort Lost, so that there really is a limited amount for them to go. You can hear my voice. I'm slowly getting over this damned infection, but it's not over completely yet. We're getting there. So yes, that is where we find ourselves. I think with time as it is, I'm going to end the show here, unless there are any further questions with regards to this. No, 25th of May. 25th of May. April, May, yes. 25th of June, Game Masters Vault, is when I moved to the US from Japan. 25th of May is when something quite interesting is going to happen. Can't tell you any more about that just yet. However, it is something to keep in your diaries. So, until next week, thank you for watching the Broken World Chronicles, and I'll see, hopefully, many of you next on Friday, as a matter of fact, when we do live sessions. And Game Master's Vault pulling my leg there. Oh, I'm going to the US. How cool is that? Yes, absolutely. I'm coming to your blasted airport on the 25th. I certainly hope to see you there. Otherwise, Game Master's Vault, I will be looking for accommodation. So anyway, until next week, thank you all for watching, and I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.